Hello, I'm Matthew Steinke, and welcome to my channel. If you don't know, I review movies because that's what I do best. Today we're reviewing The Goldfinch. The Goldfinch was directed by John Crowley and stars Ansel Elgort, Oakes Fagley, Luke Wilson, Sarah Paulson, Finn Wolfhard, and Nicole Kidman. The plot revolves around a boy whose mother passes away in a terrorist attack on the Metropolitan Museum. He takes a painting called The Goldfinch from the rubble, and the film chronicles his life as he meets new people, forms new relationships, and tries to understand his past, all while keeping the painting safe. Let's get right to the positives. The cinematography in this film is fantastic. Roger Deakins provides some of the needed emotion that this film tries to convey through beautiful and engrossing pictures. The way they're framed, the color that shines through, and the meanings behind several shots are stunning, truly letting in some emotions that are unidentifiable. Those are the emotions that I personally love to see in a film. The acting in this film is marvelous as well, with the actors trying their hardest to convey the film's message, and the effort is what I give credit for. The plot is pretty engrossing if written poorly into screenplay form. It has a good twist and a couple of thought-provoking questions intertwined throughout. Overall, all the positives were pretty good. Now, this review will be a bit different. All of my negatives with this film are basically my conclusion as well, and I couldn't find a way to write either one of them without repeating myself or getting too long. So this is going to be the negatives for the film as well as my conclusion for the film. This film tells us by the end that maybe good can come out of bad, and that mistakes are made so that the good can rise out of the ashes like a phoenix. And from the get-go, we see the bad in this film. Familial deaths, hardcore drug use, alcoholism, neglect, abuse, murder, and attempted suicide are all of the things that this film includes by the time the credits roll. As the film continues and the bad was shown more and more, elevating itself upon each new scene, I waited for the moment where the heart would officially kick in and the argument that this film wants us to believe that good can come from bad would finally be explored. It never was. As aforementioned, I saw a couple of scenes that showed great heart and the emotions were felt, but there were never any more, and those scenes were predominantly featured at the beginning of the film. So, as you watch these horrible things happen to these characters, the film tries to throw in heartfelt scenes near the end to balance the bad, but those scenes fail miserably. I felt no emotional reaction during those scenes at all, and as soon as I saw a faint glimmer of good coming through, we were back to the bad. The film then lazily throws in its message and expects us to agree with it 100% and praise the film for its complex character study. What most people are forgetting nowadays is that you can't have bad without the good. You can't have sadness without happiness because without the other neither would exist. There's happiness and sadness and there's sadness and happiness, even if the emotions are more diluted and rather unidentifiable. Films nowadays are so focused on showing the dark that they forget about how much light can come through the darkness, how much joy humanity can find in their darkest moments. I knew this film was dark going in. I did my research. I knew it dealt with serious issues and deep ideas, but I hoped that maybe this would be the movie that actually showed what humanity is. A film that tells us and tells the audience that humans are complicated, and even though the world is dark, so many moments can bring joy. I think that the writers had this intention going in. I think that they went in wanting to tell this story with both light and darkness. But there's so much darkness and so little light that the darkness is what we take with us when we leave the theater. I didn't get inspired by humanity upon leaving this film. I just saw another depressing side of humanity that I knew about and didn't want to see money to go see. And instead of trying to show both the good and the bad, this film, whether intentionally or unintentionally, relished in the very thing it was trying to tell the audience not to relish in. These things do exist and they're hard to accept, but I don't go to the movies to live out real-world depression. I go to the movies to feel hope, to see the happiness that a character finds after going through a rough time. I love films that leave you feeling hopeful and films that maybe even make you think after the credits roll. You might be saying, well, Matt, you love The Shining and that movie's dark, and yes, I do, but that film doesn't promote itself as being a tale of hope. It never told us that the message at the end was about finding the good in bad situations. This film promotes itself as a hopeful film, and the message was apparently about finding the good in bad. So when you make me sit through 2 hours of depression because it was advertised as a happy film, that's a lie, and I don't like spending money on lies. And this film, with an interesting plot, intriguing questions, great acting, and fantastic cinematography, never uses any of the amazing assets it had at its disposal to make its supposed meaning work in the end. Most films earn the right to show this much bleakness, and this film simply didn't, and it never does. I don't know about you, but I go to the movies to be inspired and feel the emotions that I normally don't feel. I don't care if a movie's dark, if the darkness needs to be there, if it has a reason to be there and the ending confirms the reasoning. I don't care if it's the darkest thing ever put on film. But I do get mad when a movie is depressing for no reason and then falsely brands itself as an engrossing character study. I don't really want to rent a seat for 2 hours just to leave the theater depressed and having learned nothing. This film has good things in it. Things that I can sense we're trying to get through, but somewhere along the line they got covered up by a strange obsession with the grimness of life. It's almost like an apple. You see the trailers and you think it's a heartwarming tale of a man finding peace with himself. Then you take a bite, and while there's some flavor, most of it tastes rotten. And I don't think it's worth taking a bite of an ultimately rotten apple just to taste a little bit of flavor. I'm going to rate the Goldfinch a 2.7 out of 5. Guys, I personally don't recommend this film, but if you want to go see it, be my guest. If you have seen it and you think I was wrong on a couple of things, post it in the comments below. I'd love to read it. Guys, please post reviews that you want me to do in the comments below. I would love to review them. Subscribe if you'd like to. I'd really appreciate it. And as always, thank you for watching, and go watch movies. Bye-bye.